A Deaf Adult Speaks Out by Leo Jacobs. Chapter 1. Introduction. In order for people unacquainted with deafness and its problems to know and understand deaf people, they should first become familiar with certain factors which contribute to the personal development of deaf adults. These include environment, etiology of hearing loss, education, and training. But the most important factor of all is the persons, parents, teachers, supervisors at work, friends, relatives, and possible clergy, social workers, rehabilitation personnel, or counselors who mold the deaf person's total development. Since we live in a society in which hearing people are dominant, these responsible people, with a few exceptions, are hearing. The sad truth is that comparatively few of these hearing persons have either the intimate experience with deafness or the empathy for deaf people which are necessary before they can really become effective. Whatever help or advice they offer the deaf persons coming under their spheres of authority or influence is dispensed out of only a vicarious understanding of deafness. This understanding is not fully internalized and felt. The personal life experience which is contributed to this manuscript is relevant. I am a deaf adult who has been deaf since birth, a deaf child of deaf parents who married a deaf woman, a deaf parent of a deaf child and a hearing child, a dormitory counselor of deaf boys for 9 years, a teacher of high school age deaf children for 28 years, a coordinator of continuing and community education, informally for 3 years and formally for 4 years, and an acquaintance or a personal friend of deaf friends of my parents, the deaf friends of my older deaf brother, my deaf schoolmates from my school and college years, my former deaf students and their friends, deaf adults from not only my local community, but also the national community of the deaf, my colleagues in the field of deafness, both deaf and hearing parents, hearing workers in the field of deafness, and interested hearing friends of the deaf in both professional and civic activities. My own life experience has involved intimate exposure to a large segment of the adult deaf population, creating an awareness of the many and varied ways in which deaf people have been repressed, restrained, and frustrated in their search for an adequate education and an equal opportunity for a meaningful life. I have seen thousands of deaf adults who have been stopped drastically short of their full potential by unthinking, presumptuous, sometimes selfish, or even plainly ignorant people who happened to have a hand in these deaf adults' growth and development. Therefore, it is my hope to demonstrate in this book that the deaf have had to contend with handicaps beyond that of their loss of hearing, and that these additional obstructions have been much more significant than their deafness in the general retardation of their development.